Hi, I'm Susanna Bowling, and this is live from the Hotel Edison, Times Square Chronicles presents. My guest today has been given 14 Tonys. He is a producer that knows how to pick them. His name is Carl Moellenberg, and he has written a book called Broadway and the Spiritual Path. And we're about to learn about the Tonys and about the spiritual path. What show started you into Broadway?
Well, my very first show that I co-produced is still one of my favorite ones. It was Spring Awakening.
Oh, you were with Pat Addis on that.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
And I think there were so many reasons it's still one of my favorite shows. We had Jonathan Groff, Leah Michelle, John Gallagher Jr., Gideon Glick, and many others, Lily Cooper, that no one had discovered yet.
Crystal Rodriguez.
I'm sorry?
Crystal Rodriguez.
Yeah, and no one had seen them in their glory, and we're kind of watching them thinking these people are going to be huge stars, and look what's happened to them in their careers. And in addition, Duncan Sheik wrote an incredible score.
Yes.
And it was a difficult show in some ways to advertise because there was suicide, there was an abortion, there were
Mama who bore me.
yeah, there were teachers that were not instructing their students in the right way, and parents that were not accepting of their children, and
There was child abuse in it.
yeah, and we put all that together, and it was magic, and I loved looking up at them. I don't know how many times I saw it, but a lot, and just thinking these performers are magnificent, and I'm so happy to have been part of their early parts of their career.
So you've come full circle because your newest show, Just in Time, stars Jonathan Groff.
I know. I've been following him through his whole career. I was also on Merrily We
Oh,
Roll
were you?
Along,
Okay.
and I had a small piece of Hamilton. So everything he's been doing, I've been part of. And he's not only a brilliant performer, but he's one of the nicest people in the world. He's
Very nice.
always got a big hug and a smile, and is so kind and gracious. But yeah, Just in Time, he's putting on an
A
incredible
Tony Award-winning
performance.
performance. This is who should win the Tony, may I state? Oh, no, I'm putting my who will win and who won't win up tonight. This won't be seen for like a couple of weeks, but literally, I wasn't a big Bobby Darin fan. I'm not a big fan of that genre of music. Magda is, but I'm not. I wasn't really a big Jonathan Groff fan. And when I went to see Just in Time, not only did you change my mind on all of the above, but you also changed my vote.
Oh,
And
wow.
my vote,
We're grateful.
no, I mean, I love what Darren Criss does, and that's who I think is going to win. But I think what Jonathan Groff does is a star-studded performance.
Oh.
I can't really see other people doing it. I mean, I'm sure I could, but it is just so spectacular how he delves into it and makes you feel like you're in every single moment of his life.
Doesn't he? He's really the consummate performer.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I saw sides of him in this show that I hadn't seen before. I mean, the dancing that he does, with the help
Yeah.
of the incredible choreographer, was really pretty amazing. And he's never been known as a dancer, but
Well, you guys
in
are
this-
definitely going to win Best Orchestrations.
hope so.
I don't
Yeah,
think that there's
yeah.
I don't think that there's any way that anybody cannot give that to you. So, and I told when I saw the show, I went to Andrew Resnick because he plays the piano, and I went and I said, "Okay, you're winning a Tony." And he looked at me, and when I interviewed him at the Drama Desk Awards, he was like,
Wow.
"You did tell me this." I'm like, "I know."
And I really love the way they turned Circle in the Square into this incredible
Spectacular.
nightclub. And it feels so intimate, and Jonathan's walking through the tables and stopping at places occasionally even to pick someone up to dance with, and
I-
it's just that really warm feeling you get from a performer that is, at his peak. He's really wonderful.
I never say this, but I actually really want to go back and see Just in Time again
Hmm.
from a different point of view.
What's
Beca-
that? Yeah.
Because where I sat, I saw it from one point of
Oh,
view.
I see. Yeah.
And I think one of the brilliance of the way that this has been directed and the way that the set has been conceived, you're going to get a different experience from different
True.
places of where you sit.
Absolutely.
I sat on the right in row AA, like right up close to the stage.
Hmm.
And I think I would like to rather see it at the back, where the other people come out.
Right.
Because I think you see it in a whole different way.
I think you do too. I've seen it both on stage, in the middle, and higher up, and the experience was different each time. And you obviously see more higher up. You see the whole
Right,
what's
exactly,
going on with
the conception of
everybody,
it.
Yeah. Hmm.
I sometimes, I'm very blessed because most publicists know that I like to sit in row L.
Oh, really?
No, because it's the sweet spot. It's the spot where the music, it's almost like right where the balcony is.
Mhm.
So the music is like all encompassing, and they kind of know it. And when Sean Hayes did the play about
An act of God?
when he played the musician,
Oh, yeah.
and now I can't think of his name, and why is beyond me. But they put me so I could see the hands on the piano, so I could see he was really
Nice.
playing, and I stood up at the end of it, and nobody else did, but I was like, I don't care. I don't, if I really love something, I don't care what anybody else is doing.
Of course, yeah.
Even if okay, I'm a critic and I'm not supposed to do this, oh well, who cares? I'm very much into supporting shows I love and in supporting theater that I love. What other shows did you get your Tony for?
Well, I've been blessed to be part of 14 of them. I do have to say it's wonderful to be recognized for that.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that I do theater is it has become my passion to help tell amazing stories that transform people in the 2 to 3 hours that you have them captive, and they think about things in a different way, or they go back and relate to their family
Right.
in a different way. But telling the stories is what it's all about for me. And if that results in recognition for a Tony Award, or for wonderful reviews, or more importantly for more audiences to come see it because they've heard the story is so amazing, then that's the best reward. But the latest one was for Merrily We Roll Along.
Love that show, and I loved that show when it first came out.
Did you? I hadn't
Yes, I
seen
did.
it the first time.
Yeah, it lasted like a nanosecond, but I saw it.
Yeah.
And actually, I was up for it. I was up for the original, and then halfway through the original show, they said, "Oh, you're too old," and they cast younger people, and I was like,
Oh, really?
"Yeah." So I got pissed and went on a national tour of Cats.
Good for you.
Wow.
I tend to like more intimate musicals.
I do actually.
There's a place obviously on Broadway for really large song and dance numbers, but that's not what I usually go for. If you look across the last several shows, it's been The Band's Visit, which
Right.
was small
Very small,
and had a really important message. Dear Evan Hansen,
which I love.
Merrily We Roll Along, Just in Time. They're all smaller shows and more intimate and more personal, I think, in the way they relate to the audience.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in those shows. I mean, I'm actually thrilled that maybe Happy Ending is going to win. It's going to win. We all know it's going to win.
It's a really wonderful, sweet, intimate story. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you asked me to describe the music, or what it's really about, you can't.
Mm.
The music is something we've never heard before, and I
Mhm.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
The story is about so much more that I don't think people even know about. And we're going to discuss that because I think it is part of the spiritual path in a strange way. That show is about being abandoned.
Absolutely.
It's about father and son and connecting. It's about, do you love somebody even if you know they're not going to remember you?
No, which
Which broke
which
my
is
heart.
shattering.
Yeah.
I was in tears.
Oh, massively.
Yeah, and I think especially as a person not in the youthful part of their lives, although I'm sure we're going to be around a really long time, but myself thinking about the fact that as you get older, some people tend to discard you in a way,
Oh, yeah.
or not listen to what you may have gained in some wisdom over the years, and you do feel sort of at the point of a certain point in your life, you feel like you're being discarded, and they think you're useless, and
You
I
still
related
remember.
to that.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean, when he's like every day he's looking forward to his owner coming to visit and
I
to see him,
know.
I'm like, oh God. Like seriously, the whole show broke my heart. And it took me like 15 minutes, 20 minutes to get into it.
Mm.
And then I was like hooked. And then I was like on the edge of my seat and there. I think that, and this is why I'm so excited that it's going to win. And I think it's going to win like maybe 4 to 6 Tonys. I'm excited because Broadway is finally telling a spiritual story and
Right.
not ashamed of it.
Right.
And I think a lot of times they're ashamed to be human. And I find that so sad.
It is sad, and in this case, they took a risk, and
Mhm.
it got off to a slow start.
And it
until
had
people
no money for
discovered it.
marketing.
I know.
None.
And it's just building and building and building, and
So on and so on.
I'm very
and so
happy
on.
for them. Yeah, and for Jeffrey Richards.
Yeah, no, I'm super happy. You know, in putting together my Tony list, I really liked Good Night and Good Luck. And it doesn't need to win a Tony Award to play on the road, which was why they get the
True.
Tonys. It's making beyond box office. Last week it made 4,500,000. And
I
you're
know,
like,
it's crazy.
yeah. And you didn't vote it for Best Play or Best Director. Because when it comes to writing what I think should have been Best Play and Best Director, I'm putting this in. Because it annoys me to death that sometimes Broadway has a chip on its shoulder and needs to learn that song from Legally Blonde and get over it. No, because if somebody has been in film or if somebody has been in sitcom, unless you're the darling of the day, no. And then when they have a darling of the day, it's all about that show winning.
Right.
Which is the show I don't think should win this year, may I state.
Yeah, this was a very good season.
It was a
but
great
it
season.
Was carried by 3 plays in their star power.
And more importantly, with Pat and I always look at the Broadway grosses every
Sure,
week.
yeah.
And it was before, if you hit the $1 million mark. Now it's like, do you hit the $4 and $5 million
Crazy,
mark?
isn't it? Yeah.
And it's like, just since COVID that this has happened.
Right.
So it's, but I was so thrilled to see you guys are like in the 2 million.
With Othello? Or?
No, with
Oh, with
Just in Time.
Just in Time is across the 1 million mark. We're not
Yeah.
to the 2 million mark, but I'm a part of
But I'm-
Othello too.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Well, Othello is an interesting animal because it did not invite Drama Desk, Outer Critics, or Tonys.
No.
So it really couldn't be nominated. And then everyone wanted Jake Gyllenhaal to be nominated, but you would hurt Denzel Washington's feelings.
It was
I'm sorry, that's wrong.
It was an
And I'm writing that in my-
interesting
you're gonna-
saga, but
You're going to read about this in
being-
mine too.
being part of it, I can't comment about things
I'm
behind the
sorry.
scenes on Othello, but
But how did you get on a spiritual path?
well, that's a large part of what this book is about. I had the first part of my life, even though my first love has always been music,
Mhm.
and I studied classical piano and classical voice from age 5
Do you play and sing?
on. I do piano and sing. It's
Do you play
past
Can you play Prokofiev's Third Symphony?
I don't know that one.
That's
but,
my favorite thing
okay.
in life.
But I wound up going into investment banking because you have to be incredibly good as a professional musician, and I wasn't incredibly good. I was pretty good, but
You also need the it
and
factor.
I did investment banking actually for about 8 years, invest at Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and others. It was not something I loved at all, but in the meantime, something really life-changing happened to me. I happened to finally come out as a gay man fairly late because I grew up in the Midwest and didn't have any role
Oh,
models.
okay.
And unfortunately, I came out literally right before anyone knew there was an HIV virus.
Oh, wow.
And so I had literally just started seeing a couple men as dates, and the first test came out, and I was HIV positive in 1983.
Wow.
And I thought, how could I be this incredibly unlucky? And it was, I'm sure you remember, it was a terrible time.
Oh,
I mean,
do I remember.
the people, the friends dying so quickly around me, the panic of because no one knew what caused it, gay people with HIV being treated like pariahs,
Oh, yes.
and so I continued for a little bit into still in investment banking, but that's very stressful and very long hours.
Right.
So my T cells plummeted to virtually nothing, and I got an opportunistic illness from which
Oh, which
I
one
almost
did you
died,
get?
pneumocystis.
Oh, yeah.
And
Curry.
I managed to make it through that, and since then I've had several other life-threatening experiences which are described in the book, and I know you told me you were in the same boat, but
I am.
but during the period,
But I'm also in the same boat in a strange way that you are with AIDS, because my first husband got AIDS,
oh, really?
and he died from pneumocystis, actually.
Oh, wow.
But I was in the hospital with him when they handed him the flyer that talked about the airline steward and how he slept with the monkeys, and
That's absurd.
I wish to God my temper had not got the better of me. I wish I had kept it, but I literally tore it into like as many little pieces.
Pieces.
Yeah, and I threw it in the doctor's face and said, "Next thing you'd like me to believe?" But
Yeah.
I would say I lost at least a person a day for at least a year.
Me too. So why, this is leading to the
Yeah.
spiritual journey. I obviously could not go back into investment banking or I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
So while I was recovering from that and just getting well again, I decided that I was going to do everything spiritually oriented that I could possibly learn.
You were winning your way into
I
heaven.
was, both to sort of heal myself and also to learn some practices that I could help other people, which, grounds me when you're not, solely internally focused. So I became a Reiki master after studying for 2
wow.
years. I studied massage. I became an ordained minister. I studied with a shaman from Peru.
Oh, wait, did you do ayahuasca?
I may have.
I'm surprised I know that.
I took meditation classes, and this was all over a multi-year period. And
Wait,
that's-
only in 1 year?
several years.
Oh,
a
okay. I was like,
multi-year, yeah.
dang, that was quick.
And as a result, I was able, to use my Reiki on other patients. I volunteered for Hedrick Martin in the Olive Renee Center, a lot
Yeah.
of walk-in centers. I was on the suicide prevention hotline for the Trevor Project,
Yeah, I know the Trevor Project
which
well.
Trump is trying to kill right now,
Is
among
he?
a lot of other things. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But,
One of my friends actually, James, helped James Lacine. Well, he's
Mhm.
not James Lacine anymore. He's gone to a girl name, and I don't know what it is. But he wrote the Unbearable Likeness of Being,
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
and he helped start the Trevor Project.
It's an incredible organization. And while I was in the midst of that path, I also had not had the chance to take some long trips. And this is where Broadway comes in and where my first conversation with a higher being happened. But among several trips, one
Oh,
of
wait,
them,
stop. So do you channel?
I can't, no. I wish I could, but
I channel.
yeah. I was sitting on the banks of the Loire, and it was a crisp, sunny morning, maybe about 10 a.m., and I had gone to meditate by myself because there's this beautiful river. There were canoers on it. The sun was on the other side of the river and was going at an angle that it hit the river and then came at the angle right into my face
Oh, wow.
with this sparkling, glistening light. And all of a sudden, this deep voice spoke to me for about 15 to 20 minutes and said, Carl, you're going to live a very long life surrounded by the love of lots of friends, and your life is going to be in the arts. You need to use your passion and to find your beauty in the world and to help create more beauty in the world. And that led me, right when I got back to New York, into exploring theater producing.
Oh.
That was I knew my next part of my life would be something in the creative realm, but after running back to my room and writing down everything I had heard in my diary, I decided that theater producing, having always loved theater, would be something that I would love doing, that would give me a lot of joy. And so that's how spirituality led to Broadway, and I've been throwing myself into it with great passion ever since.
Do you find it hard to be on a spiritual path and be in the Broadway scene?
Would you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yep. Do you find it hard to be on this spiritual path and be in the Broadway scene? Because I do.
Do you?
I do.
Up until writing this book and talking to a lot of friends that fortunately were affected by it, and the reason I wrote the book was not so much to lay out my whole life and my career. I wrote it for other people that are going through their own challenges, to hopefully get some inspiration, to find their own passion, and to have strength and make it through it. But so many people have written me from the theater community and said that they were very much overwhelmed by the story. And as a result, I just recently started speaking about it, but the reception has been amazing. And
Fabulous.
I haven't found it hard to talk to theater producers or actors who are more open, I think, in the first place. They're very creative souls, but
I think what you'll find out, at least this is what I found out, is that the people that are spiritual, well, actually, it's like you've got a little S on your head, and they come to seek you out. Like
definitely.
I would say that I can pretty much tell instantaneously at this point.
Me too.
There's just a connection that happens.
There is.
And you don't even try. It's not a trying thing. It just, like, literally, they see your S, you see their S, and
I know.
it's a breath.
I always thought that I could read people well, but after taking so much energy-related work, and energy is really at the core of everything, the core of our
Absolutely.
existence, I can tell immediately whether a person that's coming into me has a really positive, warm, kind, spiritual energy. And actually the reverse too, unfortunately. People
So,
that,
no,
that
same.
walk in and you just know, I shouldn't be working with this person. This is not good energy.
No, absolutely same. And I can't even describe it. It's, you know, and when you own a paper and when you aren't owned by conglomerates, no one gets to tell me what I think or what I do. Maybe soon, but not at the moment. It's a very freeing place, but it's also a very dangerous place because people don't know how to handle you. And it's definitely an interesting place to be. Sometimes it's great and sometimes not so
Yeah, I
much.
was going to say the people that do know how to handle you, you can have so much deeper conversations with them than you ever would have had
And
if
I
you
do.
if you hadn't opened up about where you personally are coming from, and those make it all worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I could be on a red carpet and I'll get those certain ones and I can feel my energy just escalate.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like I get recharged.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are times when
It's
no,
depleted.
and I'm like, please God, give me energy. Please let me get through this day.
I love it.
No, it's happened, and it's happened
Oh, yeah.
recently.
Oh dear.
But it's crazy. What haven't I asked you that you would like our readership to know about?
That's a good question. You haven't asked what my favorite musical or play to do
Okay.
have been.
Well, yes, I did. I asked you in the beginning.
Well, you asked
Spring
me-
Awakening.
You asked me how I got into it.
Oh, that's
I
true.
think
It
that's
was
what you
kind
asked.
of I'm
But I also said it was
okay.
one
What's
of
your
my
favorite
favorites.
play?
I had the blessing to have a connection with the National Theatre of London, where they allowed me to be a co-producer on shows that they were bringing over here. And I think the National Theatre of London does
Phenomenal.
the best plays in the world.
Phenomenal.
So there are two that I don't know how I would rate relative to each other, that both came over from them, the Curious Incident of the Dog
in the Nighttime.
and War Horse. And they're very different
They're
plays.
very different.
I think I relate
But I see why.
to the Curious Incident a little bit more because it was about the inner mind workings of a person on the autism spectrum.
And that boy was amazing.
Oh, he was incredible, yeah.
Lewis, the guy that's in Stranger Things, he very much reminds me of the boy in the Curious Dog. And I said to him, I think you're so talented, but I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I hope you don't win. And he said, why? And I said, because you very much remind me of the boy in the Curious Dog in the Nighttime, and he's not doing anything anymore. He won, and goodbye.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
And
that.
this boy in Stranger Things is so
He's
talented.
incredible, yeah.
So, now what's
And
your
my
favorite
favorite-
musical?
My favorite musical, because I had the most fun on it, was Hair.
And is that your favorite musical of all time?
It's not for the writing of the musical.
Okay.
It's not my favorite musical. Is probably West Side Story.
Okay.
But it was my favorite musical that I was a producer on, in terms of us forming this bond that could not be broken. We called ourselves the Tribe, and whether you were
Wait, where you went? Oh, you mean the producing
the
part.
producing team,
Yeah, you
the
did.
cast, the band, the stage crew, everyone involved with it, you would have thought that they brought us together because we personally embodied what the musical is about.
I remember
Freedom
Will
of
Swinson telling me about this.
expression, Peace, loving each other, and we've stayed really close ever since. And of course, Gavin Creel was our lead, and I
Yes.
loved him dearly. But
He was an amazing human being as well.
oh my God, that's what I mean. Brilliant talent and such an incredible person. Just a soul that was so inspiring and deep. But the whole cast came together in a way that it made my favorite experience of producing a show.
What's next for you?
Well, I'm looking at some shows for next season. I also do film. So actually the next things for me is I'm doing a feature film in September, October, and filming it in Connecticut.
Really?
It's called An Eye on the Sparrow. And
Like the song?
no, like the verse or the
Yeah.
keep your eye
On
on
the
the
sparrow.
sparrow, which means to maintain your focus and
It's a spiritual.
it is, and I love the message of it because it's about the intergenerational passing of wisdom from grandfathers to grandsons. The grandfathers had all fought in World War II in the same squadron, so they represent a type of bonding and patriotism and sacrifice
Wow.
that there's a reason they're called the greatest generation. But before the last one passed away, and the movie is set in 1999, they realized that their grandsons, who used to play together when they were young, had all gone their separate ways and were in somewhat wayward. They didn't have a core focus to what they wanted to do with their lives. So the grandfather sends something down, and there's a very mystical element to it, which I think you would really like, Susanna.
Yes, I would.
You know, at one point there were wind chimes going out all through the forest when they discover what the grandfather sent them. And it's not, I wouldn't call it anything resembling a treasure hunt. It's not a treasure hunt movie. It's a passing of wisdom that they have to discover for themselves. And
nice.
I'm really excited about
So
it.
are you producing this?
I'm
or-
the lead producer on it,
I'm
along
impressed.
with Andrew Bleidner. So that's the indie movie. That's just a little bit over $1 million. And then I'm also working on a studio film that I have a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't really talk about that.
I actually have to turn you on to something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're going to love me in it, and very shortly. I am so grateful to my guest, Carl Moellenberg, for sharing Broadway and the spiritual path and his journey and his likes and his thoughts with us. I am so grateful to Magda Katz for making us look and sound good and finding me people to be on the show because she found Carl.
Absolutely.
I would like to thank Romel Gopez and the Hotel Edison for giving me a home and always making me feel welcome and allowing me to speak whatever I want to speak about. I am Susanna Bowling, and this is live from the Hotel Edison, Times Square Chronicles presents.